I made a few mistakes in the last few years. The biggest mistake was that I did not believe that Russian leadership was evil. Definitely the biggest mistake. And for years prior to the start of the war with Ukraine, I thought that Putin and his clique, his friends, were harmless outside Russia. For other countries, so to speak. What I believed in was that Putin was just power and money hungry. And having control over the government and the people inside Russia was enough for him and his friends. I did not believe that they would make evil decisions, evil things, like attacking neighboring country, causing hundreds of thousands of deaths and threatening the entire world with nuclear destruction. That I certainly did not believe in that. Boy, was I wrong. And one of the biggest mistakes was that I believed that Russia's natural gas exports to Europe were not a political weapon, but a simple business deal. Quite favorable for all sides, both sides. I should have known better. The Americans were telling the truth and were spot on all along. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where I give you important news updates that I think explain what's truly happening inside Russia. What you will not find here is lies, BS, and propaganda. What you will find is common sense, truth, and logic, and some emotions, because I am a human being. Inside Russia is where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian, me. For the first 30 or so minutes, I give you my daily message, and today the daily message is about how Russia has lost its natural gas exports to Europe and pretty much is about to lose everything that is left. After I'm done with the message, I invite everyone to carry on to the live stream chat to converse. I answer questions. I'd love that. Thank you so very much for coming. Fantastic to see everyone here. Let's talk natural gas. Boy, that's quite a story. Historically, Russia has had two economic anchors that helped the country to withstand economic storms. You can call them economic anchors, or I call it sometimes foundation of Russian economy. Little do people know that the USSR had a period of capitalism. Yes, I kid you not. The economic reforms of Lieberman, Kosygin, I mentioned a couple times in the past in the streams. You see, in the early 60s, Soviet Union was going through very hard economic times and was basically not going anywhere. Had planned economy, communism, socialism, whatever, not good. You get the picture. So in 1965, the communist leadership decided to change the way that it managed the economy. Politburo gave people at factories who were employed at the factories rights to decide what to produce and at what price to sell. And, most importantly, to keep some of the profits for themselves. Competition, deciding what to do, what product to create by yourself. That, my friends, was very primitive, but free market. There was only one problem with Politburo. There was a very strong political lobby against that decision. Basically, there were two groups. One group was more progressive, saying, hey, if we keep on going with the socialism economic crap like we have been for the past, whatever, how many years, then we're just going to fall apart economically. And another group, older folks, those kind of folks who remembered Stalin and perhaps Lenin, they were saying, hey, this is capitalism. This, what are you doing? This is not good. This, we're not supposed to be that. So anyway, the progressives ones, they won, but they won temporarily. Russian economy started doing real well. GDP doubled every 5 years, if you know what I mean. It's insane. 10 years that followed, 65 through 75, were considered 10 golden years of the Soviet economy. My parents still remember, well, my mom still remember, but my dad, they talked very fondly of those times. Then, guess what happened? Something really important happened, you know. This reform, economic reform of Lieberman-Kosygin was stopped in the mid-70s, and by 79, you know, everything went back to communist normal, to the planned economy. So basically, it was an economic experiment that was abruptly stopped. And the reason for that was the USSR started swimming in petrol and gas dollars. Throughout the 60s, huge oil and natural gas deposit fields were discovered in the western Siberia, in the USSR. Believe it or not, but before the 60s, there was very little oil and gas in Russia. And then all of a sudden, boom, huge deposits. The pipelines were created, and the biggest one was Urengoy, Pomary, Uzhgorod. The pipeline was built from this biggest field, natural gas field in the world, Urengoy, right into the European countries, into Europe, to the Western countries. And the long-term contracts for exports of Russian natural gas were signed. So Soviet Union started delivering natural gas to European countries. Oil was discovered as well. Oil is a different story. Oil is the second bread maker. Natural gas sales were helping Russian economy to survive in the bad US times that followed after the experiment ended, because, hey, planned economy simply doesn't work. And then the natural gas sales were helping Russian economy to survive the 90s when the USSR fell apart. Well, still, the long-term contracts, they stayed the same, and Russia was still pumping natural gas into Europe through the pipelines. And the biggest pipeline there was through the Ukraine. And, of course, Russia was literally swimming in money because of high oil and gas prices in early 2000s. I'm telling you all of this so you understand that natural gas export into Europe was one of the two pieces of the very solid foundation that Russian economy was built upon. The Americans wanted to break into the natural gas market of Europe for a long time, but they had liquefied gas, and the Russians, they had, and they still have, natural gas that is not liquefied but supplied through existing pipelines in its natural form. And that's, you can't compete with that because, first of all, the gas fields are close by to the customers, and then second, it's the cheapest way. Liquefied gas costs much, much more. So economically, objectively, American and other nations' liquefied gas was more expensive, and it lost due to the prices of Russian natural gas. Well, it makes sense, right? The Americans, though, for years claimed that natural gas supplies of Russia to Europe was political weapon more than an economic deal, economic contract. Most of us in Russia, and myself included, we did not believe that. We thought, nonsense. We are just there for the money. We're supplying gas, and we would never use it as a political weapon. No politics involved here. They're just plain and simple. It's business, it's money. To my shock, in the summer of 2022, A commercial started airing in Russia, in most Russia's media space, Telegram channels, websites, and so forth. And I think it was on a TV, even on Russian-owned state propaganda TV. It was a very, very strange video. Sort of a commercial, non-commercial, I don't know. Anyway, summer of 2022. And the video says, oh, it's going to be a very cold and long winter. Europe will freeze, and us in Russia will stay warm. It basically was a threat to Europe that if Russia turns off gas supply, and Europeans would freeze to death. It was not a nice video. It was not a nice commercial, let me tell you. It was a mockery and a threat. It showed Europe freezing to death and Russia having gas all over, burning gas, creating, generating electricity and staying warm. It was then when I realized that I made a mistake. Russia had always considered natural gas exports a political weapon. Friends, please forgive me. I did make a mistake. Summer of 2022 was when the mask of the Russian government and its gas export situation fell off. And, we saw the real faces. So Russia was threatening Europe with this message. And basically it was sending a message: stop helping Ukraine and call your economic sanctions off because we're hurting. Or we will cut off the gas supply to you and you'll freeze to death and it's going to be a long winter. But that was summer of 2022. I think July. But if we fast forward, to 1 year later, to Sunday, June 11th, 2023, right about now, we will see a completely different picture. Russia has not only lost its ability to threaten Europe, it has indeed lost its ability to export natural gas and make money. It has lost or hugely blown one of its one piece of its foundation, economic foundation. And it's lost it probably forever. In Europe, well, last winter, Europe did not freeze. So here is a brief history of what happened and where Russia is standing right now. About natural gas. Natural gas is, I'm emphasizing, it's hugely important. Natural gas in Russia, without cut them off, and Russia does not exist, because economy is the base of everything, and the economies will fall apart, and it's happening right now. So Russia began, believe it or not, but Russia began gradually reducing pipeline gas export to Europe before it invaded Ukraine in late 2021. For the first time, I did not feel European underground gas storage facilities as Russia usually did. At the same time, Gazprom reduced the volumes sold on the futures market through its electronic trading platform and completely stopping sales in October 2021. So back then, Russian government started using the sales of natural gas as economic weapon. I was blind. I didn't see that. Again, I apologize. That was the first threat, okay? After February 2022, Russia introduced gas payment scheme for rubles, model scheme for rubles, for basically all Western countries. The introduction of the scheme stopped few long-term contracts. Countries simply did not agree to pay with rubles. Okay, they wanted Russia to honor old contracts, which Russia did not. So therefore, no sales anymore. In May 2022 of last year, Russia completely stopped exporting gas via its Yamal-Europe gas pipeline, one of the biggest pipelines. A little later, Ukraine stopped transit along one of the two routes for pumping Russian gas through the country, through Ukraine. And in September 22, 3 of the 4 pipelines of the Nord Stream, were blown up. Those accidents are still under investigation. As a result, Russian pipeline gas still has 2 routes left to Europe. First goes through Ukraine. That is a remnant of the old gas pipeline system built in the USSR when Ukraine was merely a republic, one of the provinces of the USSR. And the second is Turkey. The second pipeline goes through Turkey. There are 2 streams there, Turkish stream and Blue Stream. In a little over a year, Gazprom, which basically, if you talk about gas, natural gas in Russia, you mean Gazprom, because that's a country's monopoly. No one else extracts and sells gas except for Gazprom. So in a little over a year, Gazprom has lost largest and best market, Europe. In 2022, gas exports to non-CIS countries, to Europe, decreased by almost half. And that, my friends, is a disaster. But check this out. 2023 will be even worse, will be much more difficult. In the first quarter of this year, Gazprom exported only 11 billion cubic meters to Europe and Turkey. Now listen to this, 71% less in the first quarter of 2023 than it did in the first quarter of 2022. 71% less, and that is the country's bread maker. Currently, there are a few companies in Europe. They continue to buy gas from Gazprom through Ukraine and Turkey. Believe it or not, the trade through Ukraine is still being conducted. 2 countries are at war. Russia has brutally invaded Ukraine, killing Ukrainians. Ukrainians are doing counteroffensive, but the gas still is flowing. So the countries and the companies are that are buying Russian gas through Ukraine and Turkey are Austrian OMV, Slovak SPP, Hungarian MVM, Serbian Serbigas, Greek companies DIPA, Mutilineos, and PPC, from Northern Macedonia, Mac Petrol, and a Bosnian company called Energo Invest from Bosnia and Herzegovina. As a result, the share of Russian gas in the European market decreased from pre-war time 45% to 10%, from 45% to 10%. And this is the best paying, the most reliable customer you can ever have, the Europe, About half of this share, 10%, at this point right now in 2023 is 5%, is accounted for by pipeline gas, whose prospects, whose future on the European market is very unlikely to improve in this year and in the near future. And the other 5% is occupied by Russian liquefied natural gas. You see, Russia never invested into liquefied infrastructure of liquefying gas. There are special, very sophisticated ports needed. Russia always had pipelines, much cheaper, much better, much safer, primarily much cheaper. So the Russian government never invested into the ports, special ports. And this is the result. Now, let's talk about a little bit about the future. What can Russia do right now? What is the possibilities that lie in the future? The future of pipeline gas supplies largely depend on whether Gazprom transit contract with Ukraine will be extended. The current transit contract that allows Russian gas transit to in the amount of approximately 38 million cubic meters per day to flow through the territory of Ukraine to Europe, even in the middle of this war, which is crazy. That contract expires in December 2024. Obviously, Gazprom is most interested party in prolonging this contract. Almost for the first time in the complex history of gas relations between Russia, European Union, and Ukraine, Russia is not in the driver's seat. The company's European exports will fall by another 50% from the current level if this contract is not prolonged. That's going to be disaster on top of already existing disaster. You see, for the first time in history, the tide has turned. Now the Ukrainians use natural gas transit, natural gas exports as a weapon. Well, things are different now, for sure. Extraction, what has happened to extraction in Russia in the last 12 months, in the last year? Well, imagine this. What is a gas extraction? There's a huge cavity underneath the surface of Earth. Okay, and basically what a gas extraction company does, Gazprom does, it drills a huge hole, a long hole, and puts a pipe, and the gas starts going through the pipe. It's basically very simple and very primitive stuff. So the pipeline is very long, and it's got special stations every 100 or so kilometers. I mean, it's a complicated structure, but, it's just a pipeline. And gas travels through from cavity inside Russia, literally, to consumers, to destination points in Europe. What happens when it doesn't travel to Europe anymore? Because Nord Streams have been blown up, and basically there are very few pipelines left. The gas extraction, gas production, basically is decreased. You do not pump as much gas. The loss of sales market for Gazprom is expected led to the drop in the gas extraction, which by the end of 2022 decreased by 20%. So plain and simple, Russia started extracting 20% less gas. There are a couple largest fields that have been affected much. Extraction region called Nadim-Pur-Taz and its largest fields, Zapolyarnaya, Urengoyskaya, and Bavaninskaya, took the main burden of reducing production. In 2023, production at Bavaninskaya field, which was the main resource feeding the Nord Stream exports, is likely to be greatly reduced in the absence of main sales route. Basically, I think mainly greatly reduce is a little understatement. I think they're gonna shut down the extraction completely because there's simply nowhere to channel that natural gas. There's simply no one to sell it to. So what lies ahead for Russia in its gas extraction and exports? The future is not that bright. And again, I am putting it softly. Pretty simple. What Russia can do right now is to sell natural gas, try to sell natural gas to other countries. Good luck with that, because to sell oil to different countries is much easier. Oil is liquid, you pump it into the oil tankers and you can ship it all over the world. But gas, you have pipelines that are fixed. And if someone doesn't want to buy your gas or the pipelines get blown up, you're kind of stuck. The production capacities of such giant as Gazprom cannot stand idle indefinitely. Gazprom inevitably will start, probably has already started, looking for new sales for new countries. There are three major ways. First, to increase supply to China. Second is to create increased facilities, transfer facilities, pipelines in Turkey. And third, significantly increase domestic consumption in Russian market. Well, let's talk about China a bit. Not good. I'm telling you right off. Prospects of trading with China, hoo boy. Gazprom existing contract with China suggests an increase in export volumes from existing roughly 15 billion cubic meters in 22 to 48 billion cubic meters by 25 in 2 years. There was a major pipeline built from 2014 through 2017. It's called Power of Siberia, Sila Sibiri. And there's another pipeline, a smaller one called Far Eastern Route, Дальневосточный поток, I think. There is a big problem with Gazprom, Sila Sibiri, Power of Siberia. There's a scandal, okay, but it's greatly downplayed in the Russian media. Basically, some people at Gazprom forged papers, and on papers, oiled fields that Sila Sibiri was, supposed to be getting natural gas from, their resources were greatly exaggerated. So they built Sila Sibiri, and it turned out that there's not that much as gas that was expected. Scandal. A couple vice presidents were fired, but in Russian media, the scandal started kind of like catching on fire. But then all of a sudden, boom, all the news disappeared. Well, they're still here in my head. And there have been talks about building Sila Sibiri 2, Power of Siberia 2, the second pipeline through Mongolia into China. So Gazprom wants to pump another 50 billion cubic meters per year. But you know what? That's not going to happen. Because imagine how long it takes to build a pipeline. 1 year, 2 years? No, 5-7 years, something like that. And their negotiations just started happening with China. Mongolia hasn't even joined the negotiations because it's waiting for a good moment to jump in and to present its, cards, so to speak. And I think Mongolia is going to be a major player. So this Power of Siberia 2 pipeline is not going to happen. At least soon, at least within 5 years. And everything in Russia will change in 5 years. You can mark my word on that. Even if the negotiations are successful, according to all gas experts, the gas pipeline to China, no matter what it is, will not be able to become full-fledged replacement for European exports due to its much, much lower profitability. Okay, it's much more difficult, it's much more expensive to extract and transport to China, and then Chinese are not paying as much as the Ukrainians were, as the Europeans were paying. Not by far so much low. And the second way is Turkey. There's a huge strategic idea been in the play in Gazprom recently about extending, building up existing gas pipeline that goes through Turkey, and creating a gas hub, basically a huge pipeline from Russia to Turkey, and then from Turkey different pipelines to different countries. The idea is to increase export of gas greatly into European countries. However, this gas that will be supplied to European countries will inevitably run into infrastructure restrictions already existing in Europe. There's one restriction is the capacity of Bulgarian pipeline, which connects Turkey with the European market. It's very limited, and then you pump everything to Turkey, and then when? And then what's even more important is the sanctions risk. European countries got together last summer and decided to stop buying Russian oil. And they did stop buying on December 6th. What prevents them to make a decision to stop buying Russian natural gas? Once there are enough different suppliers on the European market to replace Russian gas. So this is a huge sanction risk, and Russia will it's selling something right now, but it won't be selling anything. Not due to lack of pipes and so forth, but simply because Europeans will not be buying, plain and simple. And the third way is to increase consumption in domestic market. That's not going to fly. So how you do that? 40% of Russia is not... we call it gasified. Basically, on all European territory of Russia, there are pipelines, big and small, and the big pipelines go to villages, cities, towns, and then smaller pipelines actually connect the big pipelines to the end customers, houses, apartments. Okay, so most of us in big cities and towns and villages in European part of Russia, we use natural gas to heat our homes up or to cook. But if you look to the east, this density is very, very low, and it doesn't make economic sense to build a pipeline to a remote village somewhere. So those villages still depend on coal and woods to heat their houses, apartments, and to cook on. Okay, so this situation is not going to change. They won't be able to increase gas supply in the domestic market. What they can do, though, guess what? Guess what? Of course, they can increase domestic prices. And you know what they have done? The prices have doubled in the last year. They have already increased. And there are plans on incremental increases. I think it'll triple, quadruple, because, hey, they're going to make up the lost profits they're not receiving from Europe, okay? And it's Russian people who are paying for the war with Ukraine again. Serves you well. Get your own taste of your own medicine, so to speak. I myself have been getting the taste of my medicine. I still have a house in Russia, and I'm paying twice as much. No complaints, folks. I deserve this, and all Russians, we have deserved it. So, there are 3 ways to somehow sell more gas, but none of them is actually good. Let's talk about what happened to Europe. Well, guess what? This past winter, Europe did not freeze. I was looking at that commercial. I was shocked to see it, how they were showing that Europeans would be freezing to death, sitting in their coats inside their apartments with no heat on, and saying, you see, and we in Russia are going to be so warm, and it's going to be a long winter. And they were showing like this snow everywhere. And I was sitting there watching for the first time thinking, these people have fallen so low. I mean, Europe consists of there's Europeans are great people. What do we have against, I don't know, the French, the Italians, the Slovakians, the Czech, the Polish, the, I don't know, the Spanish, the Serbians? What do we have? Why do we want them to freeze to death? I don't. I want them to prosper. I want them to be warm. I want to be friends with them. I don't want them to freeze to death. And if they're freezing to death, I would be crying. I would be, doing something to help. Instead of they were just running this commercial, mocking. It was evil, okay? But guess what? Europe did not freeze. Several factors helped Europe to cope with the energy crisis of 2022, 2023. And of course, there was the energy crisis. Warm winter, sharp reduction in gas demand due to high prices, and the prices would skyrocketed. You know better than I do. An increase in supplies on both liquefied gas and pipeline gas, primarily from Norway and Algeria, and some from the United States. By the beginning of winter 2022, Europe managed to fill natural gas storage facilities to the maximum. That ensured that even in the case of cold weather, most of the winter would be the gas would be supplied to Europe. Russia still kept supplying natural gas most of the year until the Nord Streams were blown up and until Putin decided to cut off a little bit as a lesson. And then right after he did, in September, late August, the Nord Streams were blown up, and then Putin and his friends really got worried, scared. And of course, the warm winter, unusually low selection usage from the storage facilities. Europeans simply started cutting the consumption of gas because the prices were so low, so high. So that helped Europe to get through the winter. Now, is Europe safe? Completely not safe. Somewhat safe. There's such a thing as the balance of gas market. And the balance is extremely fragile. The structural storage of gas supply in Europe will persist, structural shortage, will persist until 2026. And the 2026 is a magical number, 3 more years. There will be many more supplies of the liquefied gas from the United States and Qatar, and infrastructure right now is being built, extended, improved, you name it. There are major infrastructure plans. And a new pipeline will be delivered to Europe from Azerbaijan, delivering the Middle Eastern gas and Azerbaijani gas, natural gas, bypassing Russia. So once that liquefied gas from Qatar, from the USA, and pipeline gas from Azerbaijan enters Europe, guess what happens to Russia? Natural gas to Europe, kaput. China, half kaput. Domestic customers of Russians cannot pay so much for gas. They're not going to have any money soon. And Turkish don't really need gas themselves. They want to be a transit hub. But if the gas will be supplied from other sources, Norway, Algeria, Qatar, the United States, then that's going to be enough natural gas to keep the balance and keep Europe safe. I do not foresee, although I see difficulties for Europeans, and please forgive us for that. because we have created this for you by the actions of my country. Although there will be difficulties, you will not freeze to death. Okay? Things will work out. Yes, the prices most likely will rise again, but not as high as last year. And then the following year in 25 again, but not as high as in 24. And in 26 you will be completely safe getting natural gas from different suppliers. And Russia, my God, I don't even understand how to explain what Russia has done. It's shot itself in one foot, in the second foot, in one palm, second palm, one elbow, second elbow, and at the end it shot itself in the stomach, and it's laying down there bleeding. Having this tremendous advantage, tremendous resource of natural gas, and the best customer in the world, Europe, right next to you, and existing pipelines, so many of them, and they just blew it. I mean, I want to use stronger words, but I can't. I'm sorry, but they blew it. You know, Putin and his friends blew it. They blew it for themselves, and they blew it for the generations of Russian people that are to come. Even if Russia changes its course, even if it becomes peaceful, even if it makes amends with Ukraine, even if it, pays for reconstruction of the infrastructure destroyed and so forth, Russian gas will not be used in Europe anymore, and pretty much nowhere. Russian oil will not be used in Europe, will not be bought by Europeans anymore. That just doesn't. That's not how it works. You do something, you commit a crime, you go to jail, prison. You get convicted and you do your time. And Russia is about to start doing economic time, and that time is gonna last for very, very, very long time. So now you know the picture of what's happening with Russia's natural gas exports. Thank you so very much. It's been my message for today. Hope you liked it. If you did, you know what to do. The like button. And I would like everyone to go over and carry on conversing in the live stream chat. I would like to hear from you, your opinions, and I'd love to answer your questions. Thank you so much. Fantastic to see everyone. While I'm turning the comments on, I'd like to ask you to do a couple favors. First, would you please help me spread this message by making reposts on your social media accounts? That helps a lot. And then second, would you please consider signing up for my Telegram channel called Inside Konstantin's Russia? The link will be in the description below the stream. And that's where I keep announcing the new live streams and other events. And if you'd like to buy me coffee, I wouldn't mind. Thank you so much. The live stream chat is open. Hope everyone having a good Sunday. It's been very sophisticated message to come up with and to deliver, and it's been very long, 50 minutes. So please forgive me for that, but that's a topic that I cannot condense into a few words. Sorry. So I hope you understood my message. I hope I delivered it well. Whew. Thank you. Just give me a second. Mommy, Lorna, Black Cat, Amir, Harry, Bob S. I think Harry is not with us today, but he is with us in our hearts and our minds. If you're new here, this channel has the best mod team, mod squad. I don't know. I like mod team personally in the world, in the entire universe. Stick around and you will see that. Okay, so thank you folks for coming. And the usual suspects, thank you so very much for showing up again. Fantastic to see your names here. I wish I could see your faces, but unfortunately it's just the names. Thank you. If you want me to read your message or question easier, please consider putting it in caps and put Inside Russia after that sign so I see it appearing in a large orange box. And I will have better chances of seeing it and actually responding. Thank you so much. Airborne Snail, Sweden. The country who only uses natural gas for barbecue. Do you have like tiny barbecue pipelines going into your grills? Howdy everyone. Pentium, howdy. Russia has used oil and gas as political weapon on Lithuania before. We paid the highest price for gas in Europe before we got the NLG, liquefied gas terminal. Sadly, Western Europe did not believe us. You know, friend, please forgive me because I never paid attention to that, and I should have. I never thought Russia was using oil and gas as political weapons. Never thought. Again, I made a mistake, and I believe what you're saying. I think it did. But it was not a scale where everyone in the world noticed. You know, it was just between Russia and your country, or the Baltics countries, all of them probably, I don't know. But it was not just a major for the countries like the United States and so forth. But I see it clearly now. I did not see it before. So I apologize. We had a great lecture this morning. Every Sunday, Ukrainian International Tashkent Breakfast Club, we get together, quite a lot of people, and we pick a lecturer, and the lecturer delivers interesting information. The lecturer was myself this morning, and I was telling of how countries are organized, how the governance of countries are organized. Basically, I was telling one of my streams. I was comparing Russia, that is a pyramid, to the United States, which is a pyramid only upside down. In the United States, people are number one, and in Russia, Tsar is number one. Oh, I've told you many times. And I kept on telling people that someone said, well, we didn't know. Someone said, well, that's not really our responsibility. My point is very clear. I am responsible. It's my responsibility because I should have. No, I did not see that. But I should have looked. I should have researched. I should have done better. I should have been more active. You know, instead, look, Pentium. We did use oil and gas as political weapon in your country. I'm sorry. Misha Nance. Thank you so much. Just want you to know that I love your show. I look forward to it. Thank you. Thank you for financial support, but your words are actually priceless. Thank you so much. It's the highlight of my day. You are making my day by saying that. You know, this is incredible. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you so much. Russia used gas as a weapon. Europe needs Russian gas, but with cut of Nord Stream is now in position to say, you want to sell, that's your point to sell to us. The price was high for Europe, but now we are independent. Like I said, by 2026, Europe will not need Russian natural gas anymore. Plain and simple. I can't believe that Russians are so stupid to do that, to destroy it's the best product, destroy the best customers. It's crazy. White Lightning, howdy. Ukraine has coal, oil, gas, and uranium in abundance. After the war, fracking can begin and it's a shorter pipe, especially to Hungary. Look, White Lightning, I think this is a mistake to compare Ukraine and Russia, okay? Ukraine definitely has natural resources. There's no question about that. Ukraine has a lot to offer to Europe. Ukraine is the agricultural, the breadbasket of Europe. Ukraine definitely has resources, coal, it does have oil, it does have gas, and so forth, but that's a different story. You know, Russia is completely in deep crap right now, okay? It won't be able to sell anything, any resources, any products to European countries. And even without, Russia is a large country, right? Very rich. Let's take oil and gas out of the equation. Russia has still tons of stuff to offer. It's not about how rich the country in resources is. It's how smart people run in the country. Look at Israel. How much resources are there in Israel? Not much at all. And look how the country is prospering. And there are examples like that as well. So, thank you. Thank you for your message. Jorgen Kaiserling. I'm sorry if I'm misspelling your name. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your updates every day. I try to catch them as much as possible. Please keep it up. We would love to meet you with you one day. Look, I would love to meet you all. Hands down, that'd be a fantastic time. On some of our hangouts here in Tashkent, there are 60 people. But if we had a venue big enough, we definitely could get together 400 or 500 of us. And I mean, inside Russia community is much bigger than International Tashkent Breakfast Club. And a couple thousand people getting together somewhere, that'd be fantastic. I would love to meet you, and I'd love to meet everyone. Thank you very much for your support. Much needed and very appreciated these days. And your words are simply priceless. Thank you. Koshkin Dom. Howdy from Norway, Europe's #1 gas supplier. Congratulations. Take that money and use them in a way that you want to use them, because you know what? I have utmost respect in Norway people and the Norway government. I think you're going to use that money wisely and to the benefit of the people. So, congratulations. Shaking your hand virtually, Your money will not go to the rockets to bomb your neighboring country. Your money is going to go to good purpose. John from Liverpool, the home of the Beatles. Howdy, howdy. I actually, go back to the Beatles songs, especially yesterday. How yesterday everything was so easy and nice in my life, and here comes today. Bob, howdy, howdy. Dive Crew Canada. Whoa, that sounds adventurous. Dive Crew Canada. Where do you dive? I am a certified PADI diver. I dove in the Red Sea quite a few times. Around Sinai Peninsula. Fantastic place, Robert Whip, thank you so much. I was Хорватия in the house. Mario, Croatia, Хорватия. Roy Cousins from London. Max, howdy, howdy. Coventry, UK. Graham. Tom W. Jeffrey S. Mr. Humor, the official humor guy of the channel. Oh, I see that there are smaller super chats. They just do not show. Joseph, thank you so much. Feel for you and the millions of Russians who have. Thank you so much, friend. Thank you. Joseph, feel powerless to stop Putin regime. We were discussing this morning extensively. I was the lecturer. That was a good lecture. So we're discussing just that. What can we do? As the Bible says, first there was a word. Mr. Rich, howdy, howdy. Long time no see. Thank you for your support. Other than oil and gas, what does Russia have to offer in a significant way? Good question. Some minerals and metals, but is there anything that rivals oil and gas? Brain drain isn't helping there. First of all, Russia is a very rich country, rich in mineral resources. Metals, number 3. After oil and gas, metal ores, they are processed, extracted and processed in Russia, and there are huge metal factories. Novolipetsky Metcombinat, one of the biggest in the world. My company built 150 megawatt power plant inside of that metallurgical plant. The fume gas, the turbines are fired by fume gases. There was a huge domain oven that where metal is being is melted, and then there's tons of fume gas. So instead of just throwing out into the atmosphere, they are catching it and directing it to a power plant, which is a couple 100 meters away, and the fume gases are they fire a turbine and electricity is produced. So it's a pretty cool system. So we built it quite some time ago. Was our flagship project, and there are a few plants like that. So they produce metals, but now no one buys Russian metals anymore since last year because there's embargo, and they cannot stop producing metals because they would have to shut down the production, and that's a continuous production. You shut down, you lose all your equipment, right? And they don't know what to do with the metals now. And the metallurgical industry is deep crap right now. And then there's everything else. There's gold, there's rare metals, ferrous metals, non-ferrous metals, diamonds, uranium, you name it. There's everything. Everything is extracted. Russia has everything, all kinds of minerals. But definitely oil and gas is number one. But even if you take oil and gas out of the parentheses, like I said, everything else is enough if you manage the country correctly, if you don't steal, if you are fair, if you build a system that benefits and motivates people to work. That's not Russia for you. Brain drain is a catastrophe, complete catastrophe, let me tell you. I can't quite believe, because RW has just given sponsorship of Inside Russia to 50 people. My friend, thank you so very much. You have made 50 people happy. New members, courtesy of RW, please come back on Saturday and join us in a live stream chat for sponsors only. Fantastic. Thank you. And then please tune in for the sponsors only content. I do a couple times a week. Thank you, RW. Thank you. And DB, welcome to Inside Russia. Bjorn, thank you for the support. Putin is totally crazy. I agree with you. Don't forget that renewables are increasing at a fast rate in Europe. About half of Germany's electricity comes from renewables. I know. I know, because I'm trying to sell renewables electricity systems here in Uzbekistan. Well, just like looking, doing market research, so I know. But that was one of my points last year when this whole energy crisis started looming on the horizon. And this is exactly what I said. I've been in the energy business. And this is exactly what I said. Look, Europeans will be switching to the renewables, to the green energy. And before, Europeans had cheap gas from Russia, so they didn't have much of an incentive to change to something else. But now they do. Now the price is through the roof. Russian gas is gone, and now they're forced to start coming up with new technologies, and something new will be discovered soon. And whatever has been discovered is being built and implemented right now. And this is a huge motivation, kick in the butt, so to speak. And you're so right, Bjorn. We're seeing it all over. Kevin O'Donnell, thank you so much. Do any Russian artists, reciters, politicians, Kasparov, Pussy Riot, Navalny have strong enough following within Russia, which can quickly grow to critical mass if the war goes really badly for Putin? Well, first of all, the war is going really badly for Putin already. Not just for Putin. Don't misunderstand. The war is going pretty badly for Russians as well, because it's not Putin who's dying in the front lines. It's not Putin who receives coffins with his relatives, his parents or kids, whatever. It's the Russian people. So the war is going badly for them. It's going terrible for the Ukrainians because they're getting killed by the Russians. But Russians getting killed too. So that son of a gun, forgive me for saying that. I wanted to use much stronger word, but so answering your question, no. No Russian artists, resistors, or politicians have strong enough following within Russia. No. Brainwashing. Meticulous brainwashing. Week after week, after week after week. Making Kasparov, Pussy Riot, Navalny, and so forth, looking like villains, like evil, So, no. But it doesn't say that they cannot, the resistance cannot grow quickly. It's just they will not follow Kasparov, or definitely they will not follow Pussy Riot. Navalny, perhaps, once he's out of prison. Так, I missed, I think, a couple super chats. Klaus Tuver, sponsor for 8 months, message: European countries invest in wind solar energy. I know. I worked with Siemens very closely. That was our strategical partner. Here I've been to Siemens office in Tashkent, and I talked to them about hydrogen, possibly creating hydrogen power plants here. There are so many solar projects going on, up to 10 gigawatt in Uzbekistan. So I know. Wind and solar. There's one problem though. Wind and solar energy is great when there's wind and when there's sun. What do you do at night? You need some kind of a storage facilities, and this is the next revolution that is being cooked right now. Once they learn, they invent how to store the energy cheaply, then it's going to be game over for oil and gas conventional electricity generation. Funky Fudge 11. Do you think Putin has a plan for his succession? And if so, who would be his heir apparent? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. You see, he's at the position of he doesn't want to let the power go. He's at my precious, you know. That's what he's all about right now. He doesn't think about succession. He will hang on onto the power until he dies. And whatever happens after, he doesn't care. Because if he starts creating successor, then that might speed up things for him, if you know what I mean. And then he doesn't want to do that. So who will be the successor? Because there will be a successor, obviously. At this point, I don't know. I don't even know what direction to look at. I'm pretty sure there are some powerful groups, and they're trying to promote their people, like each group, his person. But I'm pretty sure the successor will be an underdog, the person who we don't know right now. We haven't heard of him. Just like Putin was the successor. No one knew about Putin until summer of 1999, basically. You know, it was nobody. And the new Putin is same, nobody. At this point, at least. Eddie, only the Russian babushkas can have big voice, and other artists have left. Well, we have discussed that too, as well, you know. Not much I can say. You're right. Most of us have left the country. I will come back and I'll give you an example of why I left. Dennis Hayes, thank you so much, Dennis. I appreciate the support. Apart from oil and gas, sanctions have been disappointing. No, have not been disappointing. No, I disagree with you. What is your summary? By the way, Australia is the world's biggest liquid gas exporter. Australian companies are very, very strong. Oh, I forgot the names, but I've dealt with a few. The mine extracting, you know, the copper smelting plants and so forth, you know. Gosh. But anyway, I don't think sanctions have been disappointing. It just takes a while for sanctions to start working. Oil and gas, listen, Dennis, how do you say they're disappointing if right now there's a hole in Russian budget of 7 trillion rubles? Consolidated hole, 7 trillion rubles. And if you look in 2021, there was profit, not deficit. Okay, so that's the sanctions working. Europe is not buying our oil. There's oil price cap. So make no mistake about it. And also, Dennis, I make economic live stream about the data. Data is out in the first week or so of every month on performance of Russian economy. And right after the data is out, I usually do a stream. So please keep on tuning in. And soon I will make another economic stream. This is what I'm going to be talking about. The performance of the economy, about how the sanctions are working. Dominic Cortella, thank you so much. Been a long time since I've caught you live, Constantine. Greetings from Carpinteria. Wow. Carpinteria was my choice of place to live when we were thinking of moving to Santa Barbara area with my wife. Dominic, thank you so very much. I almost feel like we're neighbors, you know, in some weird way. But let me tell you, you live in a piece of paradise. There's this place. I've been there like a couple times, only passing through, and it's just reminds me of Crimea very much, actually. Latsi, the misanthrope. Here in Slovakia, we have alternative liquefied gas contracts using Russian gas just to keep storage full to be okay for 1 to 1.5 years. One bad side. Goodbye, Gazprom. Thank you for letting us know. Thanks for the message. Thanks for the support. Thank you. Bruno, if the West put up 100 million reward for Putin, dead or alive. Would be there anyone in his serenity apparatus who would be tempted? Want to find out? I don't know. Try and let me know. That's a very interesting message. I didn't catch it. Black Cat Fest is on. Well, that's good to know. Prince Amir. Susie Mailer, what is up? Saint the Nuke Blend. I'm not sure what you mean, Susie. RW, thank you again. I see you saying very welcome. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Pal B, is it possible that Russia created the war to get hold of gas resources in Donbass in the Crimean Peninsula? No. That is out of the question. I don't believe in that. They created a mess in Donbass and they took Crimea for completely different reasons. To satisfy Putin's ego. Look at the map of Russia. I mean, who in the world would need to create so much troubles? Just put this, right? A weight, a scale. On one part of the scale, Crimea and Donbass resources that have been used in what, 10 years now? No, not 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, whatever. Because basically they're not, that Donbass has been frozen, okay? So here is the tiny little bit of resources. How much is Donbass? This tiny little land, you know? And then huge sanctions. The entire world turning against Russia. So much financial loss, so much reputational loss, you know. So it's going to be like this. So it'd be crazy even to think that Russia would take Donbass and Crimea for the resources. For what resources? Russia has so much untapped resources. Dirk, happy birthday, Black Cat. Wait a second. Black Cat is birthday today? No. Black Cat. That is the news. How come no one told me? Well, you know what it means, right? It means that the Black Cat's gonna be receiving a very long song. Let me find out what kind. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Black Cat. Happy birthday to you. Oh, we are so happy that you have joined our team. We are so happy that you are a mod. We are so happy to have you, and happy birthday from all of us. Well, I hope you receive it and take it and like it. Happy birthday, my friend. Thank you for being such a great member of the mod team, and we can rely on you. You're fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's celebrate. How? I don't have anything right here. Gosh, let me know in advance, you know. And Dirk, thanks for letting me know through a super chat. Paul Murray, thank you for the support. Power of Siberia 2 is a Putin pipe dream. Yeah, I think so. Z wants to limit its energy imports to maximum about 22 from any single country. China already gets 25 of its gas from Russia, so very informative stream. Loved it. Thank you so much, my friend. You're spot on. That is a pipe dream. Even the cat woke up and looked at me sideways. Oh, well. Corn dog of the month club. Well, let's make one. Pinda the Peanut suggesting that we toast Black Cat with a cup of tea. Each one of us who is drinking tea right now. Black Cat, to you. Cheers. Happy birthday. Wishing you many happy returns of the day. Marisa Rossi from New Orleans. Howdy. Black Cat, thanks everyone for the birthday. Inside Russia, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, what do you say? We call ourselves the insiders. Russian insiders. How about that? Because I say the community, but what about the insiders? Eddie, when Crimea is falling, Putin is falling. He needs Donbass for a safe space to the way to Crimea, nothing more or less. No. Disagree with you. It's a separate topic, but basically, he took Crimea, just my understanding. He took Crimea, he used this dire straits situation in Ukraine of February of 2014 when there was a revolution happening. I don't know, coup, revolution, whatever you call it. He used the situation to return Crimea to Russia. It had been as a part of Russia until 1952. So he returned it to stay in the memory, in the history of Russia, as Vlad the Great, Vlad the First, or something like that. That was ego, okay? Economic reason to take Crimea. Give me a break. Look at the map of Russia. Look at size of it. What does have Crimea to offer except for coastline, beautiful beaches, mountains? Basically, Crimea is Southern California, but in terms of mineral resources, there's nothing on the peninsula, nothing, okay? There are deposits of either oil or gas on the shelf towards Odessa, and that's it. But I mean, come on, tiny compared to Urengoy field, compared to Crimea. It's laughing. Okay, and Donbass was different situation. Donbass was definitely created by Russia, by Russian security force. Igor Girkin and Baradai were sent as the operatives to create unrest in Donbass. They were given money, and they did a good job on they creating the unrest. They're creating, like, getting people up and getting the gangsters into Donbass and so forth. Putin had always used it as a political trump card against the West, against the Americans, the Germans, and he would have used that trump card to trade for something else, for something bigger, okay? It just didn't work out the way he planned. That's why I think he needed Donbass. He didn't need Donbass in the first place, okay? He claimed that Russia was not in Donbass for 8 years. DMC is asking me a fantastic question. Konstantin, why don't you have a show sponsor? I would like to introduce this show's sponsor, my friends. For the first time in history, Inside Russia gets a sponsor. And the sponsor is Konstantin, me, myself. Because no one else wants to sponsor this channel. So there you go. We have a sponsor now. Truly yours. White Lightning, God help us all. That's my singing. Well, you know what? I agree with you. Okay. I think we're going to wrap it up. Whew. Susie Mailer, the water for the nuclear plant. I don't think the nuclear plant is in danger. At least I haven't heard the news. I called one of the guys. He's in Russia now, but he used to live, Ukrainian, used to live and work at that nuclear plant. He said that there are very little chances of something going wrong because of the water level falling down. We're telling you like a zillion times. Well, I'm sorry. I really feel bad if I don't acknowledge super chat. Okay, and then there's been like quite a few super chats, and then that's after that I saw. Stan Moore from Alabama, listen all the time. Thank you so much. Ever visited here? No, not yet. Hopefully one day. Alabama. Know the state quite well. Know of the state quite well. It's a pretty famous place. Tom W, although your singing is not the best. Well, I didn't see your message, but I sang. Time is up. Okie dokie. This might be better than usual Russia insiders. Pinda, thank you. Should run a poll. DMC? Well, you are the sponsor of the channel now. There you go. Thank you so much for sponsoring. Cheers. Wow, Richard Young, I've been here since the very first broadcast, never thought free speech. Oh, almost got the message would be banned on the channel. Well, you're not wrong. We have strict policies here of keeping this chat clean, and we do not discuss, due to me asking mods to exclude certain conversations and discussions from this chat. We do not discuss religion. We do not discuss American policy. It's not about censoring free speech. It's something I just don't want to talk about here at all, because people start fighting. I respect everyone's opinions, but just I hate to see people fighting about something. Plain and simple. So, Richard Young, this is my point. Lewis Clark, thank you. Loved my singing. Caesars, did you make a stream about Trans-Siberian Railway? No, I did not. I've never been on Trans-Siberian Railway. I wanted to go once. Then I spoke to a few people who did go. They said, don't do it. It's boring. It's 2 weeks of doing nothing, being in the train, drinking with strangers, and just... no. So, Richard Burris, does Kazakhstan wildfire pose any threat to Uzbekistan? No threat whatsoever. Very interesting topic for today. What will the world be like for the kids and grandkids? Um, I keep on thinking it all the time. I keep on thinking, what can I do to make this world better for my kids? Wildfires in Kazakhstan far away, and they're non-threatening whatsoever. You know that at least not nothing major from what I heard. Friends, be wrapping up for today. Thank you so much. Please be nice during the prayer. I don't usually, look what people write in prayer, but we're just we're to pray. If someone fights during the prayer or posts something not nice, just this is strange. Mark McLeod, I don't think it's censorship. Okay, disagree with you, and I'm free to discuss topics, and I'm free to everyone's opinion. It's just sometimes there is place and time for everything. This is it. Okay, friends, thank you. Let's finish this stream with a prayer. Let's, if you're religious, please join me. If you're not, please join me anyway. Wish good vibes, good energy, good karma to people, whatever you like to call it. So, thank you so much. Let's do it. Sven, thank you so much for your support. Let's pray. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day, this week, this Sunday. Thank you for putting food on our tables and giving roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Dear Lord, please give us wisdom to keep our children's, the skies above our children's heads clear and peaceful. Please give us wisdom not to engage, not to start any wars, and whatever wars are ongoing, to end them. Please give us wisdom to raise our children the way that when they grow up, they become good people and make this world a better place, and they will do a better job than we have done. Dear Lord, please keep our children safe and healthy. Please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. The country has suffered so much and people have suffered. Please reach out and touch all people responsible and capable of making the decision. Touch the hearts, fill them with love, with empathy, with remorse, with forgiveness. Open their eyes and show them what they have done so they get terrified and make the decision to stop the bloodshed. And please help everyone who has been affected in Ukraine. Answer all people's prayers and make their wishes come true. Please send Ukrainians angels so the angels keep people from the harm's way, away from the harm's way. Please help my country, Russia, assemble the strongest army of the strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael, and send them to earth to get rid of the demons that have hijacked my country. Please have them send the demons where they belong, to hell. Please have angels run Russia so it's peaceful and respected and respectful. Thank you. Dear Lord, please help everyone in Ukraine who is suffering from the horrible results of the flooding that happened a few days ago. Some people are still need to be evacuated in dire straits. Please help them. Send your angels, send people, send help their way. Help all Ukrainians who are suffering from Russian strikes. Also, please send help their way. Please help single mothers who are struggling, raising kids, making their ends meet. Send help, needed help their way. Please help all all people who are traveling. Send them safe travels. Please help those who are seeking for asylum. Help them also send good people and help their way. Help the sick ones, the hungry ones, the jobless, the homeless, the depressed, the ones with low self-esteem, the ones who are struggling with their faith, the ones who are not feeling good about themselves for some reasons. Please shine your heavenly light upon those people. Fill their hearts with love and surround them in the warmth of your love so they feel good about themselves, they feel better about themselves, and they feel better about their lives. They will get up, they will heal, they will have plenty to eat, they will have jobs and homes, and they will feel better about them, and they will have happy life. Dear Lord, thank you so much for bringing us all together into this community. Thank you for allowing us to come and pray. Please help everyone who is praying right now or simply watching us pray. Regardless, make everyone's prayer heard and answered, and make everyone's wish come true. Dear Lord, I would like to mention a few people who really need your help. Please help Larry, Brittany S., Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Karen, Michael Milkevitz, Paul Beans, Richard, Mallory M., Dirk Misler, Linda, Terry, Lars Henrik and his mother, Richard Burris, Angelica at Life, and Scan family's grandson, Randolph, Barb, Harry's family, Verlinda's niece, Ian James, Michelin, King Nero, Gaby Hyman, Donald, Deborah, Lisa's son, Jade, Kaltenberg, Brittany S., Allison, Dave Moyers, Maureen M. and her sister, Mr. Hanson, Heidi, Bob, Rob, Matt, Mr. Dean Spooner and his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Kumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Amy, Maggie, Carmen's sister, Vladislav and Sergey, Susie Mailer, Gina, Wayfarer, AMS paramedic Liz, Lori Miles' husband, Sherry, Layla, Philip's mother, Thomas Fall's mother, Frank in Texas, Margaret, Linda, Trombley, RT, Per, Sarah, James Gintz, China Bill, Yorkie Mom, Julia Haney, Paul, Vasilian Lubamirov, Greg, Jim and Shirley Hall, Delaney and her daughters, Ann Larson, her family, and her daughter Diana. Please send recovery and help. Mac's family, Patty L., Sherry Morin, CKOC, Brian Wilkes, Amir's uncle Dicky, Liz Dumbrell and her grandparents, Ripted, daughter of Aspen English, Ruth, Susan, Paul, Alona and her boys, Rudy Kaisley, Darla, Bip, Santa's Whiskey, Paula McDonald, White Lightning, George Ruberty, thank you for reaching out and touching his heart, Dave Strains, Pam, Wayne, Shirley, Debbie, Finola, The Highwayman, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander and family, Choriz and family, David Porter and family, and everyone from Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Susan Marshall, Beulah, Lazarus, Buzz Salmon, Alvin, Alvin's sister, Teresa D., Marsha Tucker's dad, please rest his soul in peace, Terry Carter, Joe and Lee McMahon, Meta Spencer, Diana and her family, Bree's friend, Caroline, Albina Fell, Michael Yukon, Life, Joel, Karin Vasseur, Pamela J, Daniel 9, Lindsay. And also would like to ask you for a few special children who need your help. They're not feeling well. They are Cadence, Maverick, Sebastian, Coulter, Theo, Madi, Ansley, Ava, Karin Vasseur niece. Please help them send recovery and help their parents to get through the hard times. Also asking for all children from Ukraine have been affected. Please help them. And Russian children as well, and all the children who are in the flooded area near Kherson. Please send angel to help out every child and his or her parents and the family. Also, please, all the kids who are not feeling well, send them recovery and help their parents as well to get through hard times. Thank you, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. My friends, thank you again for giving me another chance, coming here to hear me out. Thank you so much. You're absolutely awesome. You rock. You're the best community in the world. You're my friends, virtual friends, real friends. Thank you. Please come back for another message tomorrow. There will be another week coming up. There will be 6 messages as usual. I hope nothing happens and I won't miss any streams. Thank you so very much. Black Cat, again, happy birthday. And the mods, thank you. And the usual suspects, fantastic to have you here. Before I leave, I ask everyone, as usual, to say along with me this. Carthago delenda est.